Hey ladies, welcome back again to the She Lifts podcast. I have got another business owner, mother, absolute beast in the gym with me today, and I have the privilege of calling her my business mentor actually, because I begged her to be at the beginning of my journey. It is a good friend of mine and obviously business mentor, Gale.
Hi.
Hi Gale.
Hi.
This is so outside of what you like to do, so
Correct.
I really appreciate you coming and doing this, because I think that it's important for people to understand that. I mean, I look at you and I'm like, she's got it all together, everything's so balanced and working well for her, but it's the story behind all of that that I think is really important for people to understand, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from, what you're going through, there is a possibility to get the life that you want, but there's like things you've got to sacrifice and hurdles you've got to overcome, and that's something that I want to chat about today. And share a bit of your story.
Yeah, I think everyone has a backstory, and sometimes I think people don't know, and or quite clearly they don't know, but they also don't think that you've had one.
Yep.
And they look at you and they think, oh, you've got it all together and you've always had it all together. No, that's not the reality.
And I don't think there's one person walking the earth that's ever had it all together all the time.
No.
Even people that we could look at their story and be like, oh, what a nice story to have, there will still be things that for them were trauma or difficult or things to overcome. So with you, let's go right back to the beginning. Where did you sort of grow up?
Born in Wellington. I've got a brother, and I lived there until I was 26, and it was work that brought me to Auckland. My parents separated when I was 15, and from the age of 15 to 30, I pretty much travelled a road on my own.
Yeah.
And that's where I did a lot of learning and made a lot of mistakes, and it's sort of thinking about coming here today, it sort of made me realise that that's who I am today as a result of those 15 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting.
And there's heaps of things like within that 15 years that you could look back and be like, torment yourself over.
Oh, sure.
But then there's also so much learning that comes from that.
The whole 15 years was learning, I think.
Yeah.
And I had to find my own way. I made some mistakes. I impacted other people's lives and not, behaviours that I wouldn't repeat now. I had things going on for me around my body image, and it was just basically a growing up by myself. And it wasn't really until I was 30 that life sort of came back on track for me.
Yeah, which is like quite often the way that it goes. I think that some of the most inspirational people that I talk to have got stories that I would just never have imagined. And there was a podcast that I listened to a little while ago where it talked about sometimes dwelling on your story and unpacking everything all the time isn't the way to go, because you sort of relive it. But it's really important to acknowledge these milestones of like, I got through this, or things along those ways.
Yeah.
Which is what I see in you, to be honest.
Yeah, I've done some counselling. You don't get this far through life without seeing a counsellor.
Yep.
And I've done some courses, and I learned to put all those things in a box.
Yeah.
Mentally, I put them in a box, and that box has got a lid
Yeah.
on it. And mentally, I tell myself it's in the top of my wardrobe. And every now and again, I get it out.
Yep.
Have a look, and I'm like, yep, still there.
Yeah.
All good. Doesn't impact me day to day. And I joke, I think I'll move house. I've got to make sure I take that box.
Yeah.
And that's how I just choose to deal with, or just move on.
Yeah.
And the other thing I learned pretty early on is that where you place your focus expands. And I was like, this is occupying my head, and it's not occupying anyone else's head that's affected by this, just me. And as my husband says to me now, just don't let this stuff live rent-free in your head.
Yeah.
It's tucked away, and on we go.
Yeah, which is actually something that you've like sort of instilled in me through the beginning of my career as a business owner, is that like I remember there was a few times that we've had some sort of struggles with OTB stuff and the dramas and things that go on, and I remember certain things like just eating at me quite often, and I actually remember you saying the words to me about like being aware that things are going on, don't focus on it. Like be aware that that's happened, but you don't need to actually focus on that.
No, you don't, because what you need to realise is that the person on the other side, they're not giving you any headspace.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would you give them yours?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've learnt, and back when we had the sayings on the wall, our saying is very much it's eyes front all the
Eyes
time.
front.
You're aware, your peripherals are there. You never look over your shoulder.
That's so
Never,
good.
never look over your shoulder, fall into a hole.
Yeah.
Simple.
100%. So on that, talking about business, people will probably be thinking like, what does she know about business? So we actually had the pleasure of having your husband on the Kiwi Hustle podcast with Richie, and that was Paul talking about Vending Direct, and you are the other half of Vending Direct.
Correct.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Do you love working with your husband every day?
That's what people say. How can you work together and live together? But we run very much in parallel. The business is so busy that he does his thing, I do mine. Every now and again we bump into each other, but it's... And I actually quite like working with him because he's quite, quite a high maintenance person. It's quite good to be in the energy around him to sort of understand what's going on for him and to support him in the business as well. And until recently, really, it was just the two of us. Even though we've got, 70 mouths to feed, because we've all 70 families to feed before we feed ourselves, it still really was just the two of us. Yeah. Doing the key stuff. Yeah. Until recently.
That was one thing that I enjoyed that Paul talked about, is that it was not that long ago that you were actually it was yesterday because you stocked ours, but it was not that long ago that you were actually stocking the vending machines around Auckland and wherever.
Yep. Because you've got to do what needs to be done.
So where you are now, because at the moment now that you're not doing that so much, you are working on the business completely. What are some of the things that you oversee or what you do? What does a day look like for you?
I still feel like I try and keep the balls in the air. I got people around me that I try and support, take work off them, make sure they're on track, make sure that everything is flowing for them. I don't take sort of work off them. I make them do the work, or they do the work. It's kind of hard to explain. So I'm just kind of, I feel like I'm around the peripheral, just keeping the balls in the air.
Like guidance.
Got my eyes everywhere. Yeah. I'm tracking the calls that come into the business. I'm responding. I'm just trying to keep everything above the line, really.
What is it that drives you in business? Because we've talked like quite a few times about like business data, random things. You know things about Vending Direct that in my head, when I think like CEO or business owner or at this scale that you're at, I'm like, why do you know your bestseller at da-da-da in this place and that? And why do you know that someone has messaged in on the call centre being like, I chose number 11 and it was unstocked, so I need to be refunded? What is it that drives you to be like that?
They tell you that at midnight.
Yeah.
And it pings your phone.
Yes.
And you read it. You don't deal with it, but you read it.
What is it that drives you to be like that?
Because that's just who we are. We just want to be the best at what we do. If you're not focused and you're not driven and you don't want to provide great service, why would you be in a service industry? Why would you have customers if you don't love them? Yeah. We love every customer like they are the only one we have.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I don't think about the big numbers. I'm not a big picture person. Paul will, rattle off some numbers. And it doesn't, it means something, but it doesn't drive me. Yeah.
The people do.
The people do, yeah. The people, the service. I'm very much a detail person. And just knowing that we're doing everything that we should be doing to keep these people happy. It's a bizarre thing to say, but having a vending machine in someone's business is a privilege. Yeah. We consider ourselves privileged to be here. Wow. And so we treat you with that level of respect, because I'm big on respect. Respect's my thing. And we feel very grateful and very respectful that you've allowed us to have some space in your business. So why would we not give you 110%?
Which we feel like hugely, like we feel that all the time. The amount of times that people, so it's very consistent with how it gets topped up. Like I'll notice like, oh, it's a bit empty, and then next minute it's topped up. I'm like, oh, okay. And also the amount of times that, like your lady has come through so kind every single time, and then she'll drop off a freebie or a goodie or a, this from Vending Direct, like randomly.
Because we're good people.
Yeah, 100%. So does it ever get overwhelming? Because like constantly thinking about the people, the individuals can get overwhelming. I know, like for me, I overwhelm myself. Like you're years down the track. That's why I'm trying to learn from you. But I overwhelm myself because I want to be the best too. And I want OTB to be the best. And I'm very much driven by the experience that the ladies have when they come through. And I know for a fact I overwhelm myself. I overthink things. How do you...
You do.
Yes. Yeah. You know me too well.
It's okay.
But how do you... Like, have you ever been there where you felt overwhelmed with that? Like, or that you are not quite meeting the expectations that you've set for yourself? Have you overthought things?
I don't think so.
It's not in your nature?
Not in my nature.
Because in the questionnaire that I sent you,
Yeah.
one thing I found really funny is that stone by name, stone by nature.
Yes, that's when I was 15 to 30. And
Really?
and I was very much a lone wolf, and I was very driven to be successful in my own right, because I knew that I wasn't on the planet to have children. I knew that because I had been told that wasn't the thing for me to do.
Yeah.
And so I sort of, believed that to be the case. And so, so I just, it was just, full steam ahead. And so I just, did the corporate thing and earned a lot of money and bought a house and became mortgage free by the time I was 30.
On your own?
On my own.
And did you do that in Wellington or here in Auckland?
Here in Auckland.
Wow.
Because I didn't quite know what I was on the planet for, but
but you'd been told it wasn't kids.
I've been told that wasn't my path, and so I thought, I'll find another one.
Yeah.
I'm here for a while.
So
give it a go.
Even just that, so you would have been around 15 when that was said to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even just hearing those words, like most 15-year-olds would have, I know, like just thrown their toys out of the cot, and it would have completely crumbled them, and they would hold on to that, like that part of their story, which is something I think we all do, is there will be a part of our story that we hold on to, and it becomes almost like our whole identity. I know I've been through that. I've done it to myself.
Because you get given that information by someone that you trust.
Yeah.
And someone that you take your guidance from, so therefore you believe it to be the truth.
Yeah. So what made you decide to go, instead of like dwelling on it and being upset about that being said to you, what made you decide to go, okay, cool, not that then, I'll do this?
Because that wasn't the only thing, I guess, that was said to me. There were other things, and so it just sort of became part of my journey, really. It took me 15 years
to unpack it
and repack it in a box and put it away. And that's why, I was always called Stone by name. What is that? What was it?
Stone by
nature. Yeah, because I was just really standoffish, and you just naturally don't let anyone in.
Yeah.
And so it was, all...
As a defence mechanism?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't want to take the chance that someone else might say some of that sort of stuff to you. So you just don't let anyone in. Yeah. That worked for a while.
And I think that's the thing. I had talked to Amber about this when we did Amber's podcast, that there are some things that we use as defence mechanisms that we can look back now and go, oh heck, that's a little bit toxic, or that's not a good thing to do, or whatever. But in the moment, it serves you. So like being standoffish in that moment probably served you to be able to be singularly focused on you, get your house, get your job. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't really know what else I was here to do. So, and I had no one to guide me at that point. So, I just thought I'd forge ahead and look after myself. Really.
And did you put a lot of your like energy into work and your career? Yeah. And so what was your career? Like what path were you on?
Always in the service industry. So I was working for a publicly listed company, and I got to become a national position, and I had 90 staff, and I had 5 direct reports, and I was young. I was 26 or 28 or something like that, and and I just put all my energy into that. I guess I put all my energy into everything I do. Yeah. Whatever it is.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
I can see that now that I stop and think about it. But and so that was the journey that I took. But I used to get called that all the time.
Wow. Which is funny, because like anyone here that knows you would be like, no way.
Not now.
Yeah.
See, not now.
Yeah.
And so that was 15 to 30. And then when I was 30, I reconnected with one of my parents who I hadn't seen for that time. And I just thought if I'd found my way by then, and life changed. So yeah.
Was it hard going from being quite closed off to being open? Like, was it just this is who I'll be now? Or did you kind of have to work your way into becoming who you are now?
I think when I reconnected with one of my parents at 30, that it just seemed like a natural thing to do. It just, Easier. Yeah. I don't think there was a switch. I can't actually recall, but... and I didn't meet my husband till I was 37. Yeah. We didn't meet each other till we were 37, so we were obviously off each doing our respective things, and and thankfully neither of us had kids at the time, and it was just easy. So,
Yeah.
So we tell the world that we're just but slow learners.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's clearly working.
It worked for us, and then we had our boys pretty quickly after that.
And you've got 2 kids now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, okay, so 15, you're told you're not made to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now you've got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And do you love being a mum?
Yes, of course. And
Yeah,
it wasn't until
I can tell.
It wasn't until I'd met Paul.
Yeah.
Because obviously, there was life before that. But it wasn't until I met him that I thought, yeah, this is the one.
Yeah.
I knew. Yeah. I thought, no, kids are for me.
Yeah.
This is the go. So, and of course by then, I was 37, so that the clock was, ticking and stopped and ticking and stopped. And our first child came along very easily, and our second child was a bit of a struggle because by then I was 42 or something like that. And so that was a journey.
Yeah.
And of course, and as we were saying, Paul wasn't home.
Yeah. So he had gone because that's when you had 2 young boys by yourself.
And we had 3 businesses.
3 businesses
at the time, 2 in New Zealand and 1 in Australia. And
oh my gosh!
And we hit the GFC in 2008. Jackson was born, and that's life got hard. Got hard then. We had less than nothing, and
so GFC meaning the global financial collapse.
Yeah.
So you have 3 businesses, 2 kids. You're here by yourself. Your husband's in Australia, and then
he was there for
financial
5 years.
World just
boom
around your ears. And he was gone for 5 years.
Yeah. So he wasn't here for the conception of Jackson, which was just hilarious, and he wasn't here for the birth of Jackson. He wasn't actually there for the birth of Mitchell either. So it's a running joke now. At the time it was perhaps traumatic, but so it's a bit of a joke. Wasn't there for the conception or the birth, and then Jackson's like, oh, is he really my dad?
You're like, and I'm like, I don't know, bud.
And I'm like, mate, he's your dad.
Yeah, you guys are way too similar.
Because you're one and the same. So and of course Paul wasn't home because he was trying to keep all the balls in the air on the business front. So he was living and working in Australia, and he was there for, I think it was 4 or 5. Yeah, it would have been 5. It was 5 years. He didn't come home till 2012. Jackson was 4.
Did he come home in between that time?
He came home at the weekends, but of course he'd fly in at midnight on Friday night, be an absolute wreck, and then Sunday or early Monday morning back again.
Oh, wow.
So he just basically commuted. He did come home, but and so he didn't really come home permanently until 2012, and the boys were 4 and 7. And what's ironic is that they wrote something, I always remember this, and they wrote something to him for Father's Day, and they wrote a piece of paper that said, oh, you've always been there for me, you're amazing, you're the best dad in the world. And I'm like,
thank you.
Cool, pretty sure been here the whole time. But
is that for me?
Yeah. And then that's when I sort of realised, because everyone says, oh yeah, they'll be affected and all that, but no, they're fine.
Yeah.
They didn't even know he wasn't there, which is good, because that's what you want, right?
100%.
Obviously it's all about them. So.
Yeah. In the moment of that, so like, I think that having 2 kids on your own is difficult anyway, and then being in a long distance relationship is difficult anyway. Having 1 business is difficult, but 3
and no money
is insane.
And no money.
But you had all of those, and then you also had like every business that went through the GFC was terrified, but you had 3 of those. So like, explain to me and everyone that's listening, asking the same question, like, how did you get through that? What is the mindset what do you do to actually just get through without completely losing your marbles?
You have no choice. You have no choice. You get out of bed or you don't. We just had no choice. We didn't go into it lightly, and life's not straightforward, right? And you've just got to get out of bed every day and put your feet on the ground. I remember my grandfather saying to me, every day you get out of bed and put your feet on the ground, it's a good day. Yeah. And I lived that for a very long time. Wow. Yeah, and you just function because you're in survival mode. You're in the grind. You actually don't have a lot of time to think about it, and it wasn't easy, but that's the sacrifice, right? That's the sacrifice you make to get ahead, and but that's a path we chose to walk, really. Yeah. So you've just got to keep walking the path. There's no choice. You don't get off. Get off is not an option. Yeah. Ever.
And do you, like, when you were in that moment there, could you have foreseen this? Like, because we've had chats before, me and Richie and many other people, is that like you kind of have to have like a slight delusion to you to believe that everything will pay off, like, because that's sort of where I'm sitting at the moment. Because like in my head, I will not lie, and I've said it from like day one, that my vision for OTB is like massive, and so that's what I'm working towards. And I'm like, everything that we go through now, all these little like stones and nicks and whatever that's happening, I'm like, it's okay, I can do this, like we're going to be this massive thing. That's the goal. But also at the same time, if I really stopped, I could be like, that's just delusional. Did you have, like, could you have foreseen then what you have now?
No.
Was that, no,
Never.
you were just getting through day by
Just
day.
getting through day by day. And we used to joke, you say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we were like, is that another train?
We're going to get hit by something else.
Is that another train coming? And we just laugh. And so we, you know, don't get me wrong, we were asset rich, effectively, and cash poor. So we had assets which we never had to sell, or and we just literally just moved money around and just got by and got through. And like I've said to you before, you know, we had Christmases where we couldn't even go and see our family in Wellington because we just couldn't get there. And generally it was always work that kept us at home as well. And and there was a Christmas where we didn't buy our kids any presents because we had no money. I don't even know if Paul remembers that, but you know, we had no money. And the only gifts they received that Christmas were gifts that other people had given us. And so I just scooped them up. And on Christmas Day, I was equally as surprised at what was in them as the kids were.
Which is like funny now, but as a mum in the moment, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was.
Did it get to you? Like, did that type of stuff get to you?
No, I never broke down. I never cried or had a moment. No, I don't operate like that. I don't. Yeah, you just carry on.
You're very like task driven, eh? Like, what's the task at hand?
Yeah. And I deal with a crisis. I don't. You know, I'm wired up to. I deal really well with the crisis at the time, and then when it's finished, I fall apart. And everyone looks at me and goes, "What's she crying for now? She's all good." But yeah, I just kind of get through the time, and then when things are good, then I allow myself to have a moment. But I actually don't think I ever did. Really?
I'm similar to that.
Yeah,
but also
I don't lose my moment.
The reason that I'm laughing is not at all funny, but I think I deal with things with humour just the same as you. The reason I'm laughing is because I saw this thing come up and it talked about people that are like that, and it predominantly is women that are like that in chaos you function so well. Once it's over, that's when you're like, holy heck, and that's when people will look at you like, what? You got through it so well. And that's a trauma response. Yeah. And
we're all different.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea. So when I saw it come up, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And there's so many people that are like that. Didn't realize it.
Okay.
Like predominantly women that have been through traumatic things in their life are like that. In chaos, they thrive, and then afterwards they're like, which then makes me think like the story behind so many incredible women, because they deal with that stuff. Like for you, dealing with your kids' businesses and being able to get through that, and then afterwards look back and be like, oh my god, what did we just do for the last 5 years?
Exactly. And then we had 3 businesses, and we got rid of one business, and then we sold another business, and then we ended up with just one, because that was the right thing to do. And Paul came home in 2012, and I remember him coming home, and I'm thinking, 5 years, who's this guy? You know, and wondering how it would be. And by then I was also in the business. I'd also been in the business for a year. So I got called in 2011, and Paul said, I need you to come back to work. So I was doing that too. So I was in the New Zealand business. He was in Australia, and that was hard. That was hard because I'm trying to juggle whatever they are, 3 and 7, 3 and 6 year old, daycare, school, and work. Yeah. And I remember putting the boys to bed at night, and then I'd start working again at 10 o'clock because you just have to. Yeah, and that was hard. That was hard. I think that was like 2011, and then Paul came home in 2012, and it was and then I guess from there we've been able to focus solely on that business, and then the GFC kind of we sort of got out the other side, and we came out unscathed really, and we were fine. We sold a property. We owned a property, and the zoning changed from rural to residential.
Yeah.
So the value increased.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a tick for us, and then we just carried on from there, and from there it's the last 10 years I've been in the trenches.
And is that last business that you held that you've got now is Vending Direct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we focused solely on that business, and we've just grown from there, and now we find ourselves here.
Yeah.
So.
And then, because when you say in the trenches, you're talking like both of you 24/7 working, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, a lot of what I see is driven by the service itself, but service actually in general, as in being service for people. Anytime that we're like, oh, we're putting this thing on, you straight away are the first one being like, cool, I'll bring this, I'll bring that. Every time we do OTB games, you bring the drinks, you've always got the protein bars, all those types of things. And then, was it just this Christmas just gone that you did those in Sylvia Park?
Yes.
The vending machines in there. And so how did that come about?
Because how can you not give back?
Yeah.
Because when you can, how can you not?
Yeah.
And for a long time we couldn't. Yeah, we couldn't. We weren't in a position where we could. Yeah. But now that we are in a position, I mean, that I just can't give enough. It's not, you're not giving away. Yeah. You're giving back. Yeah. To people that need you. So, so the giving machine people came to us with this concept, and to be fair, they couldn't have done it without us. Yeah. And again, it was, how can we not? Yeah. It's not how can we, because we can. Yeah. It's always we can. We can do anything. Yeah. How can you not?
That's so
it's just
cool.
It's just a given that you will. Yeah. And we get a lot of people approaching us a lot, wanting things from us. Mm-hmm. We're very careful, particular, and considered. And but for that we just thought, how could you not? Yeah. And that was such a success, eh? Massive. And will that happen again this year? Yeah, we're in the process of
that's so cool,
getting that rolling again now, actually.
And does that feel sort of like a passion project for you, because it like so close to your heart is the giving?
It is. And I guess when you get into a situation where we are now, where we are in a position to do that, we've got some fat in the pot, so to speak, now. And there's so many people out there that don't, and that they're truly needing. How can you not? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not everyone thinks that way, but we're just. Paul's very generous. I wasn't sort of naturally that way until I met him, and now it just seems it's just the right thing. It's just inherent in us just to give back now. Yeah. Not that anyone, ironically enough, gave to us. Yeah. But it's not about that, you just do what you can to support and help people, even though you've had a lot of sacrifices and a lot of hardship yourself. Yeah. And you got out of that on your own, you still want to give back. Yeah. Be the change, eh? Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it's like, even when you go to raise your kids, you raise them differently, and because you just want to be different. You just you just want to learn. Yeah. Learn from your story, or your mistakes in life, and what's been dealt to you, and all that kind of stuff. I joke now, and I still think my kids are going to go to counselling and say that they're loved too much. Honestly, they will. Yeah. Because you just want to overdo. Yeah. What you didn't get. Yeah. So I think it's natural, but then of course that creates its own monsters. I think regardless of like your life, I think you get to a point in your life where you have to sort of reparent yourself. And be like, because we as parents, we don't really know who our kids are going to be as adults, but we do know what we want to give to them. So we get them to a certain point, and then they go, okay, cool, thank you so much, I got to hear, I've picked these awesome traits up, but I don't really like these ones for where I know I want to go. And then they might need to go and do the counselling and reparent themselves and do what they do. But I think sometimes, because I again, this is a theme in my life obviously, but put pressure on myself to be like, oh my God, Ollie's going to have to go to counselling too and undo all this stuff that I've done. But then I'm like, well, I've been to counselling and that's not my parents' fault. Like I went because I wanted to go. I think everyone should go. Yeah. Everyone's got something. Yeah. Everyone. Yeah. I don't care, what kind of upbringing you've had. Everyone's got something. Because everyone deals with things differently. And but our kids are and what amazes me is that you can have two children and they couldn't be poles apart. Yeah. And you've done everything supposedly the same. They just take out of it as they please, eh? Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah.
and apply it in different ways.
Yeah, some take the mickey and others just are grateful.
I think I know which ones we're talking about now. I think I know which one's which.
They're good books.
They are. They are awesome. Okay, cool. So, love the business chat, but I actually want to talk to you now as well about your training.
Yes.
Because you, as you do in business, are next level. And I think one of the things that can be like completely the myth that can be dispelled just through you and your story and your results is that you can't build muscle or get fit as an older woman.
No, not easily.
Yeah.
No.
But it is possible, eh?
It is. Yeah, it is. I
wish you'd worn like a singlet today so we can show your guns off.
It's underneath, but we'll leave it there.
I'll post a picture. I'll post a picture of the podcast.
You do that. Yeah, so we started, I guess, on our OTB journey because my son was having a bad time at school. And that's how we got introduced to Richie in the first place. And so Richie very kindly took Jackson under his wing. And tried to, well, not tried to, but became a mentor and showed him a different way and got him into physical activity. And because he said to me, he goes, I want to change my body shape, I want to look different. And ironically enough, he probably would have completely changed just by lying on the couch, but I wanted him to think that fitness was the way. And so anyway, so he's sort of become ingrained in that world, and I just sort of, jumped on the bandwagon, and ironically enough, it's all completely turned around now, and it's all about me, and he can figure it out for himself. And
it's my time to shine,
yeah,
buddy.
it's my time. And it wasn't until I did the challenge. I've never done a challenge until last year or whatever.
I didn't know that.
No, not once.
Really?
Never stood on a stage, nothing, ever, not once.
I really forced you into that.
Yeah, I know.
Oh wow, I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, and so of course I was going through menopause, probably come out the other side. My menopause journey was, I think I was so busy working, and I don't actually really remember anything being a big deal for me. But obviously, there's the weight gain and carrying the fat around the tummy and the hideous stuff that you look back on the photos, and even people in the gym have said to me, I look back on your photos, you're a bit of a tubster. I know.
Thank God you don't have feelings. No, you do have feelings.
And I was like, yeah, actually I was. And so it wasn't until I started the challenge and started to learn about how to look after your body at this stage of life. Yeah, and obviously it's all about consistency. I'm the queen of that. Yep. And eating properly and lifting and ditching that cardio, going for a run as much as you love it is not, it's just not going to drop the weight like it used to. It just doesn't work. And
also I think because you put, when we move into that, so I am doing like all the knowledge gathering. I wouldn't really call it research because I'm not reading like scientific papers, but I'm doing all the knowledge gathering that I can from doctors that are talking about these things around menopause, because I didn't realize that perimenopause was even a thing. And I was like, what the heck is perimenopause? I thought it was just menopause. And then so I looked into that, and it's like, it usually starts around 40 to 44. And I was like, I'm 37 this year. I was like,
miles away. I hadn't even had babies.
Feels close.
I hadn't even had babies at 37.
That's true. That's so true.
Yeah, see?
But in my head, I was like, I need to know this stuff. I like to just be aware. So I'm like, I just want to know, what are these things? What's possibly going to happen? The big one is around, like, if you put your body in such a hyper stressed state, especially because your body's already stressed going through this menopause and everything like that, which as females we understand in our cycle. There's certain parts of our cycle where it doesn't matter, you can completely starve yourself or you can eat all the food, but either way you're just going to feel like frumpy and solid. And there's like and so your menopause is like that, but like a long journey of that. And so it's been interesting working with you, working with some of the other ladies as well that are going through the same thing, and realizing like there's stories out there that kind of, it's like it's a too hard basket. There's like a few podcasts that I've listened to where they talk about, it's just sort of coming out now that a lot of the time women would go to the doctors with actual menopause symptoms and just be told like, she's just a complainer. She's just complaining, like she's one of those ones, midlife complaining. And then realizing now, like working with you, working with these other ladies, that like all these things that are sort of pushed to the side for us, I'm not going to build muscle, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to be fit, because I'm a bit older, it's really tough for me, is that it is more difficult, but it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've built muscle,
I have. So
like a lot of muscle.
On the first challenge, I think I lost 8 kgs.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, I think I got a little bit too skinny and a little bit too gaunt, and that's okay. So that's all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And then the next, phase of the Hot Mama Summer, whatever, was all about, a different goal.
Yeah.
And it's about, building muscle and becoming strong. And I don't want to look gaunt and skinny.
Yeah.
I want to have, I want to support my bones, basically, and I want to have muscle on my bones. So I broke my ankle in 2020.
Yeah.
I was out trampolining with my, can you guess which son? And I broke my ankle, and 3 months after I came out of the moon boot and I had a scan, the doctor said to me, "Oh, your bones are really brittle." And I was like, "Oh." So I went for a scan, and I actually was diagnosed with osteoporosis. I was actually well in the zone of that. And they said, "Oh, we can give you a drug infusion," which I was like, a drug infusion, or you can you can start looking after your body in a different way. And so I did do one drug infusion way back, and then when it came time for another one, I was like, no, that's not the way. And so I started lifting and becoming part of OTB, and then when I went for a further scan, maybe 2 years later, I'm actually out of osteoporosis. I know, that's incredible.
It's incredible that your body heals your body.
It's incredible. It's so just refreshing to know that stuff works.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be skinny. I don't want to see my bones. I want to have muscle and strength around my bones and have a strong body. Yeah.
Because muscle mass for females, and especially as we get older, is so important for that bone health. Like the fact that you went from being in osteoporosis to pulling yourself out. Yep. That you can just heal yourself.
Purely by lifting and building muscle.
Yeah.
And eating properly and looking after yourself and being consistent and all those things. It's so doable. Yeah. That's why I'm a little bit intolerant to people that, don't see that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I think because you have had
because I know it can be done.
100%. You know it can be done, but also the effects of looking after yourself and prioritizing your health, not just your weight, but prioritizing your health more than anything, is so deep. If you hadn't have done that, if you hadn't have taken charge and been like, right, I'm actually going to fix this, I don't want to have brittle bones anymore, you'd be breaking bones all the time.
Yep. And that would be the rest of my life.
That would be your story.
Yeah. Who wants that?
Exactly. You had mentioned before about some growing up with body image issues. What was that for you? How did that manifest? What did that look like for you? So
that happened around when I was around 15. So when things happened for me on the home front, and I don't really know where it came from. For me, it was just an easy way to maintain how I wanted to look. So I just did some foolish things for 10 years.
Wow. So from 15 to 25.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hard one too, because you're on your own during that journey and trying to figure things out for yourself.
So it's a control, right? That's the one thing I can control. Yeah. And to me, not eating appropriately, and the binging and the purging, and to me that was something I could control. So obviously so many other things in my life I couldn't control that were all happening around me. So I guess that was something I could control. Which you don't realise at the time, of course. No. And so you look back on that window of time, and there was a lot of things that happened for me in that time that sort of shaped me to who I want to be and who I am now. But everyone's got that story. Yeah, I expect. Yeah, of some degree. So nothing special. Yeah, about me.
You are. I think the thing for you and for your story is that a lot of the reason why you don't over dramatize things that are going on in your life is because you they are big things, and I'm sure that you could go to many counselors and they'll be like, let's unpack it, this is a big thing. But for you look at it like everyone has got a story. This is mine. They have one. Does that change the way that you interact with people?
Oh, absolutely. Now, I'm a different person now. I even look back on the sort of things I did back then, and I don't even know who that person was. I can actually stand there and physically see that person, and it's just not anything remotely to do with who I am. So at least I've learned and I've moved on, and I haven't repeated the same mistakes, and hopefully become a better person because of it. And it made me a lot more balanced. Is that the word? And I guess too, when you're working and you're raising a family and you're going through the GFC and things are hard, you don't have a sisterhood, you don't have a group of friends, you don't have a network, you don't have time to tap into anybody because there is no social life. There is, and you don't get deep with people because
you can't,
because you're going through trauma, right? You can't really, it's not the time to go deep. So it's not until you come out the other side really, and it's not until I sort of came to OTB and participated in Queendom that I really sort of started to understand other people. Do you know, it sounds very naive, but I didn't really understand other people's journey and their stories. I mean, because we live in a pretty diverse community here, and there's quite a diverse range of people that come to this space, and everyone has got a different story, and which is quite leveling, and I'm at a stage of life too where I can give back by supporting people, and I've sort of I really think that I've been through those trenches or whatever. I'm a lot older than most of the people here, so I've certainly lived and been through all of that. And it wasn't until recently when we started sharing our stories openly that I get a different response from people here now, because I think they look at me and they go, "Oh man, she's got a story. She didn't just turn up like that. She's got a whole lot of stuff going on that went on for me." And a lot of people are opening up to me now and telling me their story, and I feel a lot more connected to them, or they are really open with me about their backstory. I think when you sort of realise that we're all the same at the end of the day. So.
And I think that's the big thing that I take from you a lot of the time, is that we do all have a story. We all come with baggage, which is our responsibility to deal with. But sometimes it's really nice to be like, I've got the same bag as you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how do you carry yours?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you put yours at night?
Mine's under the bed. Where is yours?
Oh, mine's in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it out of there. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and if that can help people, and if I guess my life experience can make someone else's day different, then that's a good thing. Do you know what I mean? Like we were talking about, again, in the Queendom situation about postnatal depression, and I said I had postnatal depression with my first child, and we were talking to one of the ladies who was going through it, potentially, and I just sort of explained to her a few strategies that I did and a few different things that worked for me, and I could tell that she connected and she felt a lot lighter because of it. And she came to the next session and she was like really upbeat and smiling, and she told us the story that had happened for her just in that week, and everything had just turned around for her because we shared, and which is because you never think that your story is of value to anybody.
No,
really, but it is.
Yeah,
it is.
And especially things like that, like talking about postnatal depression is hard. But when I think like what you were talking about is that like you are a bit older than these girls, and so sometimes it is nice to be like, it's not so new to me, so it doesn't still actually hurt me, and I can actually see right now that if I talk you through it, I can share with you, because you can talk to people that have been, like I've never been through that, but I can sympathize with it, like empathize with it, that I couldn't imagine it. But when you talk to someone that's been through that, you're like, oh my God, you get it, because it's just something different. And for you, like on your side, how cool to see her come back so happy, and you're just like, that is a powerful way to use my story.
Yeah, and it wasn't all me, of course. It's just the whole Queendom environment and the support that everyone gives to each other, and that really made a difference in her world. So she said to me, I went home, and instead of going home, because she was here and she was crying and she was really upset, and she said, instead of going home, I went round to a relative's place, and my sister was there. And my cousin was there, and they all wanted to know what was wrong with my face, because obviously she was. So she opened up and she told them, and they're like, "We're the same. We're all the same. We've all got this going on." And yet they're family, and they didn't even talk about it. And they all opened up about how they felt with their children, and then suddenly they've got this family chat going on, and it's all happening for her,
and just feeling like you're not the only one.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Because the first baby I ever held was my own. I'd never held a baby in my life. Again, I was led to believe that that's not the thing to do. So, the first child I ever held was my own at the age of, I don't know, whatever I was, 38.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. And I had no network, because I'd just been working right up to the when he was born. And I remember going to the Plunket and saying, I need some support because this is not, this is not right. This is not for me, and I'm really struggling. And she said, oh, we're going to, do a coffee group in about 8 weeks. And I said, 7 times 8 is 56, and one of us won't be here.
Oh, wow.
So you let me know how that's going to work. And she's like, oh. And then she sent me to my GP, and my GP tried to give me Prozac because that's what you got given back in the day. And I remember getting the script from her, and I walked out of the surgery and I just put it straight in the bin.
Yeah.
And she said to me, you won't get yourself out of this without drugs. Yeah, that's the other thing you're told. You will not get out of this on meds. You won't. Yeah, so you won't get out of this unless you take meds. And I'm like, yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
So I put the script in the bin.
Yeah.
And I just started walking.
Yeah.
And I walked with my buggy
Yeah.
up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I just I got myself out of it. Because I refused to believe that was
just changed your...
That was the way. Yeah, so again, it was an exercise thing, right? It's like, get moving. Get out of the house. Yeah.
You're like resilient mind. Like part of me wants to say stubborn, but
yeah, I'm stubborn.
And stubborn sounds so negative, but I actually don't think stubborn is a bad thing. So when people describe people as like, oh, they're really stubborn, like it's a bad thing, I'm like, I don't think that. I don't think it's bad, because you are just so stubborn with the like resilient, stubborn, whatever it is you want to talk, but with your mindset of like, I'm not going to do it the way that you're telling me to do it. I'll do it my way. But I'm just like going to people for help, being like, I need some help from you. You are the expert here, and telling them that solution doesn't work for me. So where's the next one? And there isn't one. And then you just take it into your own hands and you're like, I'll do it my way.
I guess you reach out for advice and support, but not everything is the answer for you. And you're smart enough and you know yourself well enough to know that that's not your path.
Yeah.
And so you just say thanks. Got that, not for me.
Do you think that time between like 15 and 30 where you're on your own, so you were all you had for that time, and you have got the evidence that you can create great things, like a career, like buying a home, like being mortgage free. Do you think that period of your life set you up for
everything,
these other moments where you just had to be relentless, eh?
Yep, everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we started to talk about coming on the podcast that I actually obviously started to sort of think back, and then I'm thinking, yeah, that's exactly why I am the way I am now. Like I'm really, we can say some negative stuff, like I'm really stubborn, I'm really intolerant, I don't suffer fools.
Yeah.
You get on or you get off. I just don't have time, and I don't have time, and I'm not interested. I don't want to hear your story. And if you come to me for advice and I give you advice and you don't take it, don't come to me again.
Yeah.
Well, there's no opportunity for you to come to me again, because I just won't allow it. And like I've said to you recently too, there's people in my space who I probably am not truly connected to, but I we rub along.
Yeah.
And nothing changes.
Yeah.
I do. And I'll just extract myself.
Yeah.
For no reason. And they're probably left standing there going,
what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
But that's probably, it's not, my story doesn't bring out all sorts of good things. There's that negative stuff, obviously. And, I'm very black and white. You're either in or you're out. And if you're out, But so it's not good. It's not all good.
Yeah.
But, so I guess I still carry a lot of that survival mechanism, really careful where I spend my time. Because back then, my time was valuable, because my time was all the only time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it carries through. And I guess that's sort of why you're... or sort of why we're successful and we're singly focused, and it's eyes front all the time, because it has to be. Who's got time? Why would you want to? That's the other thing. Why would you want to look over your shoulder?
Yeah,
that's something pretty. It wasn't the best back then. So why would you actually want to look at that?
Yeah.
So I guess that allows you to be successful and not winning at all costs, but you just got to be pig-headed and determined and make sacrifices, and people come and go in your life, and you just keep moving forward. You don't walk on people, you don't treat people inappropriately. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. Yeah, it's just how you're wired up. Yeah, I think, or how the wires are. Yeah,
and the world would tell you, like society at the moment, and the world at the moment, the way that we are, would tell you that you should address that and you should fix that. Because like I struggle with that too, because I feel quite similar to the way that you are, and in my head, my heart's always in the right place
same.
Until it's not. And I'm not malicious at all, but my heart's just not there now. I'll always be nice, all those things. I don't want to do anyone wrong. And I am the part between us that I'm very different with is that I do take on outside noise, and that's something I'm trying to work on at the moment. But I do take on outside noise because I want to be the best version of myself, and I always put that on like, how am I digested by people? Does that make me the best version of myself? Which is not at all. It's all about me and how I feel comfortable in myself, and I fully understand that. But that's where I think you and I are different, is that is something that I'm working on, is like getting rid of that outside noise, because the outside noise does tell you that you should work on that and you probably should give people more chances and da-da-da-da-da. But for you, you're very solid in who you are, which is like, I know that you labelled a few things off as in like, this is bad and not good and da-da-da.
Or can be perceived by others, I guess. I mean, no one's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, no one's got it all together. No one knows what they're doing 100% of the time. You just do what you think is right for you, and if it makes your life function and you move ahead, then it's just how it is. Not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
I'm not here to be liked. You know, I don't care if people don't like me.
Yeah.
I like me.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, and if I truly know that I'm a good person and I do the right thing and I'm giving and I'm generous and I'm very fair, people still aren't going to like you.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. That's one of the things that like I just truly appreciate about you and the conversations that you and I have, because that's something that I really need to work on. Because I actually don't like upsetting people. I don't mind having conversations that have to be had, but I would like, oh my God, I've just really hurt this person's feelings. But I'm getting a lot better now at it.
Yeah, I don't like to hurt people's feelings either, and I'm, you know, there's no one more generous than, you know, my husband and I when it comes to helping people. We've
100%.
Got 70 people in our business, and we have honestly, I would say we've personally helped over half of them. Some people are very grateful and others don't want to be helped. So sometimes you just continue to bang your head against the wall. The only one that's doing that is you.
Noted.
Noted. And the only they've moved on. They're not listening. They're not ready to take it on board. So you've just got to drop it.
Yeah.
Know you've done the best thing you can do, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you know you've done the best thing you can do, and in your heart you know that you've given everything you possibly can, that should be enough.
Yeah.
Move on.
I will.
Move on. Do not look over your shoulder. Don't look behind. There's nothing there.
I feel like that is personal information for me right in this moment.
Yeah, so who's podcasting who? So
I'm like, thank you, therapist. This is why I begged you to be my business mentor. I do want to actually have a laugh about that conversation, because I still do remember it like to a T. When Richie was moving to TK.
You were going to be so fine.
I was like, oh God. And then we had a conversation about it at home, and I was like, I need to ask Gale to support me because I'm so scared. He was like, just ask her then. And I was like, oh my God, I can't ask her. I was like, really?
She might say yes.
No, I was more like, she's going to be like, weirdo. So I was like, okay.
No, I wasn't weirdo. I was sure. And then I'm like, what? You're so fine. You're going to be so fine. And then I remember that day we went down to TK, and you were sitting on the bike. It was the open day, and Paul and I came, and we were just sort of chatting about it then. And even I remember Paul even looking at you going, "You're fine. You're so going to be okay. We're here for you. 110%. But you're fine. Yeah, you don't need us.
Oh, we just I speak for both of us, but just the appreciation,
And I guess, and the reason we think that you don't need us, we were there for you. If you ever needed us, obviously we are absolutely 100% there for you. But we knew that you didn't need us. You just didn't know you didn't need us.
Well, I still feel I do.
That's okay. There you go.
I like having people there for me.
It's fine. That's fine. But I think that's natural, isn't it? You just don't trust your own ability. But it's always nice to know. I see. That's the other thing, right? It's always nice to know that you've got the support.
Yep.
Never had it. See, I never had it. I just don't even know what that is. So it's very, very similar, you and I, but very different. And so when I see someone asking for help like you, I just know how capable you are. I'm like, you don't need me.
Yeah.
For a start, I don't really know what I could offer you, but I guess there's something. But I'm like, you don't need me, and you're so capable because I had to be. Do you know what I mean? And I just know you can be, because when you have to be, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember just being so nervous, like, I do not know what I literally have just left teaching, and now I'm doing this thing.
You've just got to look like you know more than what you do.
Yeah.
Because the people you're referring to know less than you.
Yeah.
You've just got to look a little bit informed. You know, you've just not fake it till you make it. I hate that. I don't use those words, but you've just got to trust, I guess, in your own ability to be amazing.
Yeah. Under pressure, though, I feel like you, like not just you, but we people unpack so much more, or able to figure things out under pressure so much more. When I'm just like floating through, I feel like I don't tap into like all of my brain.
Oh, for sure. I'm the sort of person that if I've got 100 things to do, I'll get 100 things done.
Yeah.
You give me one thing, takes days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not. I've got to be under pressure.
Yeah.
To get stuff done, and very driven by lists, and very driven by checking stuff off, and always feeling like I'm moving forward.
Is that why you always turn the training sessions into a competition? Silence.
I used to like to win. I know I'm real. And again, until I came to OTB, you win at all costs, right?
Yeah.
You play to win.
Yeah.
If you're not going to win, don't turn up.
Yeah.
I'm not a team player. I don't like relying on the weakest link. I'm really, a lot of bad things, a lot of bad traits about me.
But it's made you who you are in business.
Yeah, it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's not all about business, is it? So it wasn't until I came here and I met Rue, Coach Rue, and she said to me, she took me aside one day and she said, it's actually all about being part of a team, and it's about you working together collaboratively and looking out for each other. And I was like, oh.
There's a thing.
And I'm like, is it? Is that a thing? Is that a thing? Thinking of others, is that a thing? And it's so funny now because, of course, I've naturally become that person.
Yeah.
I'll buddy up with anybody. I don't care if I come last, because only one person in this world I want to beat when it comes to my physical.
Jackson.
Is my son.
And you do.
The whole world can beat me. I couldn't give a rat's.
Yeah.
As long as I can continue to beat him, I'm happy. So I'll buddy up with anybody, and if we come last or we get penalised or whatever, I just don't care.
Yeah.
Because she's helped me sort of see that there's a different way, and so it's been great.
That's
coming here,
yeah.
Because I've just seen a completely different side, I guess, of myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that transfers into work at all? That mindset sometimes, or like realizing that there's different ways to do things, has it transferred over at all, or do you think you're still quite like this is like business Gale?
Oh, I'm pretty, at work, I'm pretty engaged with our people.
Yeah.
I will walk up and hug them, and I know about their personal life, and I know the name of the dog. And I think when you have that level of connection with your people, you don't get more out of them, because that's not the reason you're doing it. It's just really nice to be connected and treat them like, they're such an integral part of our business, and and that's why we consider we don't have 70 employees to feed. We have 70 families. Yeah, because that's how they are to us. They're a family. Yeah. So we know all about them. We know what's going on in their personal lives within reason, and I'm really engaged and connected, I would say, with the majority of them. And I'll physically walk up and hug them, and because they've worked for us for such a long time, they're so integral to who we are. Again, how can you not? Yeah. How can you not?
It's so funny, that like you can list these attributes about yourself that you're like, oh, it's not all good, but then at the core and at who you are in action, your heart's always in the right place. You always mean well. Yeah. Those traits that you have are survival mechanisms, whatever you want to call them, but also having those traits is what will protect your staff too.
Oh yeah, fiercely loyal. Yeah, I am, and the big thing for me is respect. And again, we had a situation in the club just this week where there were some people who I saw as not being respectful to the process, and man, I'm hot on that. And and it doesn't always go down well, and I got a couple of little angry face emojis, and it sort of touched me for a little bit. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'm being a bit hard, but I'm like, nah. Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm really hot on, and respect is massive for me. Respect is everything. Yeah, it's like even turning up to class on time, thanking people for their time. It's just the right thing to do.
Which also, I noticed that because obviously Jackson comes here quite often, and I noticed that in Jackson, if I've taken a class, he will always, or even after his check-ins and things like that, he will always make sure he comes up afterwards and from him to me. So he's like, thank you so much, Jess, for class, or for the shake, or for this, or for that. That has clearly been drilled into him.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It is such a good thing.
Such a good thing. He's such a respectful boy. Like even today we were out having an Americano, and
Wink, wink.
he was there because he drinks Americanos, and he was there, and my friend was there, and yeah, he's just really respectful at the table. He engages in conversation, and then when he left, he eyeballed her and see you later and great to see you, and doesn't just grunt and carry on.
So good, eh?
He's so good. Yeah. So it's quite refreshing, really. And the other thing I'm really big on is fair play. I just think you need to play fair.
Yeah.
Which is ironic coming from someone who likes to win, but
fair, win fair.
Win fairly.
Yeah.
But respect is a big thing for me. With everyone. And honestly, I've never turned up to a class late. I'd be horrified.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a lack of respect.
Yeah.
For the person that's giving their time.
100%.
So some traits are good.
I love that. So before we finish off,
Yep.
for all of the young women watching this that are like where I was and still am at the beginning of their business journey, what would you say are the top 3 things for them to focus on? Whether it's like personal characteristics, it might be slogans like the eyes front one, just 3 things that you're like, if you can keep true to these or just have these front of mind, it'll help you get through just this first part of business.
Definitely eyes front. Don't look over your shoulder. Be aware of what's going on, but don't let it impact your journey. And just stay true to yourself, and have self-belief and be consistent.
Yeah. So eyes front.
Yeah.
Be true.
Yeah.
Stay consistent.
Just stay consistent and just stay focused and just keep grinding and just know that the light at the end of the tunnel is not another train. But consistency is everything, I think. Yeah, consistency, eyes front, and just belief. You've got to believe. Self-belief.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That's
1,
all
for
right.
being my business mentor and letting me steal you. And number 2, for coming on the podcast, because I know that this is so outside of your comfort zone. But
Correct.
everything you've shared today, there's so many people that are going to take, I'm going to re-listen to it. There's so many people that are going to take so much out of it. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for having me.
And empowering the next generation of businesswomen.
Thank you.